A lot of people know that I am an undercover nerd. If you see my external appearance, I may not seem as the nerdy type or the geeky type or the person that strives for the education, but on the inside, I am a nerd. And a lot of these things have to do with my grades. I try to stay always on top of my grades. I start whining and crying if I ever get a B or a C on any of my assignments. I try to stay on top of my attendance. I try to never be late because it's wasting class time that could be beneficial towards my education. And I just try to stay on top of everything, completing projects effectively and doing all of these things that lead to me being a nerd. And I do, at the end of the day, resemble a nerd, I guess, when people really get to know me. And I feel like I've grown as an individual on certain things, because you can never be perfect at a certain thing. And I feel like I've grown because towards the beginning of the year, I was able to speak up for others, but not speak up for myself. And now I think that I'm starting to learn, and I've actually done on certain occasions stand up for myself. I feel like since I'm a very busy person, I tend to do things here and be committing to myself and do things here. I never stood up for myself because I was scared, and now I'm starting to do that. And I feel like this is Envision has helped me by preparing for this presentation right now, how to really speak up and get my message through to everybody on what I'm really trying to say. And in order for me to reach this point, I want to thank certain people like Coach Grimm, which is our principal, for really coaching me to get through this process and really being there for me through these 2 years at Envision. I want to thank Yeshi, my advisor, for always being there and helping me in dealing with my stuff that I do during class, and John for helping me with my technology and improving my technology skills and making my presentation look better in a certain way. Joanna, who actually couldn't be here, but she's one of my very close friends who helped me practice a lot, and I helped her practice, and we really bonded in that way. Malia, right here, for helping me a lot, for being on my piano right now, and for always being there for me ever since 9th grade, has always been a true friend. And Joshua De La Cruz over here for also being there always for me. And there's a lot of people that I missed, but this is a last minute thing, and I really want to appreciate these people for helping me at the end. Thank you.
Two questions, an easy one and a hard one. Which one do you want first?
Hit me, surprise me.
Okay, hard one. Is it really true that Huey Newton was killed for standing up? And if so, what evidence do you have for that?
As in, so far, I haven't done a lot of previous research on him, but he did stand up. He was with the Black Panthers, so he sort of stood up against it. And there's theories, I guess, that the government killed him, but we don't really know. So, but essentially, he was killed. He was killed, and what he did was stand up. So you can conclude that he was killed for standing up. So although we might not know, one can conclude, and taking into account multiple perspectives, that he was killed for asking.
All right, we'll talk more about that afterwards. What design considerations did you use in putting together this awesome presentation?
Yes, also, I want to give credit to Zuri, because Zuri was the one that introduced me to GIF files or GIF files, which is the animations that you saw in our presentation. I saw one in hers and I was like, well, that's amazing. That actually adds some spark to your presentation. So a lot of people just filled in the blanks that there were and just inputted pictures. I try to make mine really stand out from everybody else's as a unique individual that I am. You always have to look forward to your education, because your education is what's going to make you in the future. It's what's going to help you succeed, because without an education, it's really hard to succeed, as I said in my thesis, that the failing society that they were born into. I feel like you just have to find that something in you that makes you want to get up in the morning and find the reason why you want to go to school. It shouldn't be just to go see your friends, but something deeper than that, something that's more powerful.
We're looking for each of us to have at least one positive and one area of growth. He said, I didn't really look into what Plato wrote, and he says, except for the apology, which is exactly what you would look into for, right. So, one of the things that's always impressive, and Gibran showed it again here, is his depth of knowledge, the specificity of his knowledge.
I think Gibran does a really good job kind of combining both negative and positive ideas, right? So his thesis is all about how society is failing, but then he has such a positive demeanor and has such depth of knowledge and has so many kind of ideas about how to deal with the things that are wrong. I think he's really good at balancing out complex situations.
Extremely proud of him. Really, really proud. He's very smart. He's so smart.
I think his presentation skills are just really good. Like he really looked at the audience and kind of engaged. Like you could feel him really into the slideshow, and how he really explained and connected all his artifacts with his thesis. Sometimes you had to think about it a little bit, but you got it eventually, and I think that was something that he did really good.
Yeah, I think he flowed really well, and especially on like panel questions, he really just like answered it really quick and was able to relate all of his artifacts to the real world and his thesis.
Mm-hmm. All right, things he needs to improve on, or things that he can improve on in the future.
I think many of you who this is the second time you're in this room today see where I ended up on the one thing that I knew was false, right? Which was what he said with Huey Newton. And one of the things, and this is something that it's interesting because the question that I asked him earlier about the name of the teachers is actually something that I know that he knows, which is the sophists. But I also know why.
Earlier.
But I also know why he stayed away from it, because one of the things that we've been coaching the students on is don't talk about stuff you're not sure of, because once you open your mouth, we can go there. But I have, like just about everything with Gibran, I have to turn it around to what he did, which was not lie, but to sort of defend how it could be true were it to go the way he wanted it to go, but not to then insist that he was right because he could tell, right? And so that was just evidence of his ability to think on his feet. A lot of what we saw here was preparation, but that was one of the moments where, you know, I made him spin and he landed and you know, he took care of it. So
some of his visuals were a little distracting in the beginning. I think there was some timing with, you know, what pictures he was showing versus what he was saying. I think he could have worked on the beginning parts of that a little bit more. I also think sometimes he's so positive and so kind of has the right answer for everything that it sometimes can feel a little bit disingenuous, or like there's a piece where he's, you know, just performing for us, and so I don't think that he is. I think most of this was genuine, but I think he needs to be careful to not sound like he's performing.
I agree with Yeshu, and you're talking about how he's so very like professional, but he needs to also realize that he's has to also be kind of more himself when he's presenting.
I mean, I think it's pretty clear that he passes with distinction. Do you have doubts about that?
distinction would be all boxes, correct?
Mm-hmm. And like basically, like if you could do a 3 or a 4, it would be like a 4 in all categories. 3 being a B, 4 being an A.
Yeah. I think the comment that you were making inside about him coming off as glib sometimes, I think is going to be his biggest struggle,
yeah.
Right? So that would be what I would say, that's the thing, especially from the theater teacher. Mm-hmm. But it's also like, you're so sincere and you care so much, sometimes it seems insincere.
Right. Because
right?
nobody else is like that.
Right.
And so
right.
you have
right.
to
So you must be
out,
faking it.
Right.
I wrote down quotes of things that he said. Your education is going to make you you. It's not that deep, but it's really important.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm glad he's learning to defend himself.
I think we pushed him on. I'm glad that we asked him all those questions, because
Yeah.
I think it would have been easy to not ask him all those questions, but
right.
It's good to see him squirm a little bit.
Right.